How's it going, guys? This is Jack here with the Commander's Wire, and welcome back to another video. Today we really have another hodgepodge type of Commander's news video. We did not have a lot of things come out this weekend as I was gone regarding many major moves around the league, whether it be major cuts or anything else. However, we do have a couple small things I'm going to touch on today for this Commander's news video. Before we get into that, I really would appreciate it if you guys went down below, dropped a like, subscribed, and turn on post notifications to know when I post next. It really does help me out, and it lets me know that you guys want more Commander's content just like this. And without further ado, let's get right into today's video. So, I'm sure you guys all seen this weekend, the U.S. was fighting for the gold medal, both women's and men's hockey, and fortunately, we landed the gold medal in the USA men's hockey finals game, and it was absolutely electric. Hats off to those guys representing their country well, and I just felt like this is a small part in giving them their flowers to include them in today's video, but I felt like it was plenty deserved, so congratulations to them. To start out the actual Commander's news, though, today starts the NFL Combine for this year's draft. It goes from today, February 23rd, all the way until I believe either March 1st or March 2nd. It's going to end off with some smaller parts of the Combine, but the meat and potatoes is going to happen this week with all the major positional groups, and it's going to be something that I'm going to keep my eyes on and probably make a lot of videos about regarding players that Commanders fans could look out for in this year's draft, and players that are going to either move up or move down the boards depending on how they pan out in the drills with the NFL Combine. So it's something to keep an eye on this week. Next up, I wouldn't say this is super major, however, this is a name that the Commanders were definitely looking into if he did make it to free agency. However, Kyle Pitts is expected to be franchise tagged, so unfortunately that means the Commanders most likely are going to be out on him. That means that if he is franchise tagged, he's going to sign a one-year deal, and that means the Commanders must trade for him in order to get them on the Commanders roster, which is really not that likely, especially for a guy like Kyle Pitts as a tight end. So what does that mean for the Commanders? That means that they have to look for other outlets for the tight end position, whether it's Isaiah Likely, Chigakonkwo, Kadon. I think there's a couple good names. Even a guy like David Njoku, who is a little older. I think those are all guys that definitely could come to the Commanders, sign a couple-year deal, and be solid targets for Jane Daniels in this offense. So even though Kyle Pitts is taken off the market, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think there are a couple other options the Commanders could look to that could be just as effective as Kyle Pitts. However, speaking of the franchise tag, George Pickens has also been reportedly expected to be franchise tagged here in the next couple days. I know a lot of Commanders fans thought that George Pickens definitely had a chance to come to Washington. However, I thought they're all delusional. George Pickens is a player that is going to receive a lot of money this offseason, whether it be from Dallas or another team, and I just don't think that is a player that we want to bring here to Washington after paying Terry McLaurin. Obviously, they already have CeeDee Lamb there in Dallas as well, but I just don't think it was that realistic for George Pickens to come to Washington no matter what the circumstances were. So because of that, I think George Pickens is going to stay in Dallas under the franchise tag until they get a deal done. And if, like Jair Jones' recent history with his players, if everything goes the wrong way, unfortunately, it looks like they probably will trade him for another big package. Probably not to the level of Micah Parsons, however, something matching his type of value, and that is just something the Commanders are definitely not going to be a part of, especially since they are an in-division rival. Once again, regarding the franchise tag, it was also reported that Breece Hall's future with the Jets is still uncertain. Jeremy Fowler reported this on X, and he says that the Jets are weighing all options, whether it's either to franchise tag Breece Hall or even land a long-term deal. I think that means that Breece Hall is probably going to be less likely on the free agent market this offseason. I think that Breece Hall is probably going to be a Jet once again, whether he likes it or not. He's either going to get the Myles Garrett treatment, where he's going to land a massive contract regardless of the team he's playing for, or he's going to get franchise tagged, and hopefully the Jets can dig themselves out of a hole and show Breece Hall that he has a future as a Jet. But regardless, it doesn't look like he will probably be becoming a free agent for this offseason, and he's another name that will most likely be off the board as the Commanders are looking for another running back to add to the current running back room. And speaking of running backs, Javonte Williams, formerly with the Cowboys, landed a 3-year deal with the Cowboys. I don't think he was ever a realistic option in Washington as a running back in free agency. However, now that he's landed a long-term deal in Dallas, he's someone that we can expect to be in the run game, especially in Dallas, for the next couple years. So that continuity with the game plan for future games with the Dallas Cowboys, as we always play them twice a year, does help, as we know what players are going to be on that side of the ball. Obviously, they have CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott. They have a couple names over there, are always going to be with the team for the next couple years, but now we're going to add another guy over there, so the Commanders can continue to game plan for the same players every single game they play the Dallas Cowboys. And even though I think Javonte Williams is a reliable running back, I think he has plenty of talent, at least that type of play style that he brings is something that Commanders could take advantage of, as obviously he's going to be playing for the next couple years, so the Commanders can game plan and know what he does for the next couple years, which I think is a solid benefit regarding Javonte Williams. And speaking of the run game, the tush push really has not been in any major discussions regarding its future in the NFL, and there's not been a lot of teams talking about trying to stop it once again like there were last season. So what does that mean for the Washington Commanders? That means that the Commanders need to continue to game plan for the tush push, especially with the Eagles, as you play them twice a year, and it doesn't look like that play is ever going to get taken off the field and make it illegal. I personally think it shouldn't be a play in the first place. A lot of Eagles fans and other players and fans around the NFL believe that it's a type of play, you need to learn to stop it. It's not illegal, it's not cheating, it's not anything like that, and it's something that you kind of have to deal with. However, whenever I look at replays, I always see the center, all the offensive linemen on top of the ball, too close for comfort. I think that sometimes the center's helmet is even past the ball just because of the way the offensive line needs to line up for that type of play. I just think it's getting too close to that line for it to be offsides, and I think that that type of play just needs to be flagged more often, just because it's towing that line a little too close for my liking. I just think that even though it is a slight loophole with how the game is played, I think some of those rules are being bent a little too far. You see certain things like that regarding the tush push, especially with like a field goal, and there's some things you can't do in the field goal that is allowed in the tush push, and I think that shouldn't happen, especially regarding how the O-line lines up on top of the ball. I just think that even though it's not being flagged right now, it is something that the NFL needs to look at and be a little more strict on how that play needs to be carried out in the future. I believe that the way the O-line lines up on top of the ball is a little too close to the line of scrimmage to make it a legal play. I think it's offsides. Even if someone is just a little bit past the ball, it doesn't matter, that is still an offsides. You can see it in receivers, even if their foot is just a little past the ball, even if a tight end's hand on the side of a formation lining up to block someone, if their hand is a little past the ball, it's always going to be flagged for offside. So I think that the tush push is the same way. Sometimes helmets, sometimes hands. Even if they're slightly on top of the ball or past it, that is still offsides. They're in the neutral zone, and that is something that cannot happen. So for right now, the play is staying. However, in the future, I think continued discussions are going to be had regarding the future for that specific play. But let me know down below, guys. Do you guys want to see the tush push be banned, or are you guys happy with the tush push? Even though you probably all are Commanders fans and you have to face that team twice a year, do you guys think that play should be banned, or do you guys think that play should be allowed to stay in the NFL? Let me know down below in the comments. This is the end of today's video. Just a compilation of certain news topics regarding the NFL that I've seen over the last couple days. Not too many things to talk about, but just enough to make a video out of it. We're going to be making a couple more videos here in the next coming days regarding the NFL Combine, as well as some more off-season stuff, so stay tuned, drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you guys will be notified whenever I post a video about those topics here in the next couple days. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless, and hail to the Commanders.